The legendary hill, a high-bank, half-mile paved racetrack. Few of these remain, but fewer people would deny the fact that these may be the most optimal configuration for a motor racing speedway. We don't have the 200-mile-per-hour speeds like we have at Talladega or Daytona, but they're very demanding, they're very fast, and they can be dangerous. The worst single-car, stock car crash in racing history, I believe, happened on a track just like this, Michael Waltrip at Bristol, Tennessee. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Larry Nuber, and this is the I-70 Speedway near Kansas City, Missouri. Joining me on this broadcast, the encyclopedia of the American Speed Association, Rob Albright. Tell us about those special little moments on this high-bank racetrack.
Well, Larry, as we discovered yesterday, turn 4 here at Kansas City is ASA's own version of the Lady in Black, lying literally like a snake in the grass, ready to jump up and bite the unsuspecting. 2 serious-looking incidents. Fortunately for both drivers, they walked away without injury. That could be a concern this afternoon.
We have a big story developing in ASA this year. Bob Seneker. He's vying to become the most successful major division stock car driver of this season. He certainly had the best month. In the month of July, 3 entries, 3 wins. Can he make it 4?
Bob's on a roll, and I know that maybe the conventional wisdom would say Seneker for the win. I think Tony Raines today is due for his first trip to victory lane.
And for me, I kind of like the chances of Scott Hansen. I think his number is up. He's ranked 2nd in the point standings. He's been competitive all year. Well, there's a mild surprise in the front row, but both our Ralph Shaheen and the driver he's about to talk to, well, they've both been up front before.
With a racetrack of this configuration, the best way to get around a track like this fast is to have a good handling race car. Gary St. Amont's car handled real well yesterday, 0.3 of a second under the track record, Gary. Can you make that happen again here during the race?
Well, Ralph, yesterday we got here, the race car, we had it set up for the race, and we did a few little changes to get it fast for qualifying, so we know what the race setup is, and I think we're going to have a good race today.
Well, earlier on, our main anchors were doing a little predicting as to who they thought was going to win this event, and everybody picked somebody but you. But I'm sticking with you, Gary St. Amant. Are you going to make me sound like a hero today?
Well, I hope so, Ralph. They want auto service 7 fire engines. Chevrolet is fast, and this is my kind of racetrack here. It's not a big Milwaukee mile, and you know, I think we're going to have a good race today.
Well, unlike my cohorts up in the booth where it's air-conditioned, by the way, and it certainly is not down here, Gary St. Amant is feeling a little under the weather today, but I'm sticking with him. Loyalty all the way to the checkered flag here with Gary St. Amant today.
Ralph, you have all the air conditioning you could ever hope for. It's just nature's air conditioning, that's all. 300 laps to go. We are moments before the start now. Final preparations are being made along pit lane. Breathing is a little deeper, hearts are beating faster. The Grand Marshal for today's race, Jim Hutchinson of Western Auto. The honorary starter, Larry Anders. He is the store president of Kansas City's newest Western Auto store. Greg Trees is the vice president of Western Auto. We will have some opening remarks from Bob Jordan, the regional manager of the Southwest region of AC-Delco. Here's Ralph.
Well, Greg, on behalf of the folks here at the AC-Delco Challenge Series, welcome to I-70 Speedway.
Well, Western Auto, I'd like to thank all the race fans for coming. We're going to have a great race here at the Western Auto 300 AC-Delco Racing Series.
And Bob, on behalf of us here at the American Speed Association, how about getting us started here this afternoon?
Well, first I'd like to thank all of the AC-Delco customers and people, and especially the Western Auto people, for coming out here today and being a part of this exciting ASA racing in the AC-Delco Challenge Series. God has given us good weather, and I know the drivers are ready. So with that, gentlemen, let's go racing.
John Benson Jr., young driver who led points earlier this season. We had a quick glimpse of Mike Eddy. Scott Hansen, second ranked in points right now. Definitely a contender to win today's race. 300 laps to go. We're at the I-70 Speedway near Kansas City, Missouri. Mile racetrack, it is high banked, and you get a bit of the vantage point and the view that all the drivers will get as they drive around this racetrack.
Continuing to ride with Jay Sauter, nearly had a very serious incident last weekend. at Tri-City Speedway.
Moving up on the inside, you can see a car in the upper left-hand part of your screen. That is Kent Stauffer. Apparently, Kent has discovered something amiss in that race car, that Pontiac, or make that Ford, as he brings it down pit road here moments before we're ready to go green flag. So Kent Stauffer, an unexpected stop in the pits.
Kent Stauffer's primary automobile heavily damaged last Friday night, so this is a brand new race car, or new at least for this weekend here at I-70 Speedway. Apparently just doing some checking, perhaps a radio problem for Kent as he'll rejoin the field.
300 laps on this, let's call it a half-mile racetrack. Gary St. Amant and Mike Eddy, a couple of ASA veterans on the front row. Some of the surprises back in the 7th row. Dean Combs from the south, Todd Forbes out of the ranks of midget racing. We are now moments away from the green flag. The field is looked over carefully. The green flag flutters, and the Western Auto 300 is underway. Straightaway, that's John Wilson. We have a car spinning in corner number 1, a minor incident, no contact with anyone else. That's Tim Porter. There you see the Sugar Creek, Missouri driver. Everybody gets by. The green flag has remained out. Wilson pulls to the infield. No incident on the racetrack, but a very ominous lap number 1.
Not surprisingly, Mike Eddy in the Nationwide Pontiac always wanted to run flat out from the start, has bolted from the outside front row to the lead, relegating pole sitter Gary St. Amant to the 2nd position, who's really getting some pressure from Johnny Benson's car number 21.
And the first 10 cars, as John Benson Jr. slides high coming out of corner number 2, are really percolating. That is Scott Hansen moving to the inside. The first 10 cars have already begun to approach the tail end.
Has closed the gap between himself and Mike Eddy. He'll not let car number 88 get out of sight. That was one concern that I had, is that if Eddy got the lead at the drop of the green flag, he might be long gone. That is not proving to be the case in the first few laps of this race.
If you saw the opening part of this show, you heard Rob Albright talk about how treacherous corner number 4 has been all weekend. That's right where the speed shot is. That could be one of the most exciting moments of today's telecast.
Speaking with the drivers yesterday afternoon after qualifying, the 2 men who seem to be most comfortable with the handling of their race cars, Gary St. Amant and Scott Hansen, and I think as the race progresses this afternoon, those cars dialed in are going to be in the best shape.
On the front straightaway, we have a heavy smoker. That is Dean South, and it looks like that's going to be terminal for Mr. South. The front straightaway is completely covered with a thick gray smoke. The front runners have dropped down to nearly 20 miles per hour, Rob. They're quite concerned as to what happened. They do not know that it was only an engine problem and no accident, but it's incredibly heavy smoke. I don't know exactly what happened to South, but if it was an engine, I guarantee you that one's history.
Fortunately for Dean South, he was near the end of the pack, and we're going to look one more time coming out of turn number 4. Keep an eye on that black car with the bright numerals 18. And we don't see him coming in.
You see it beginning there on the inside of corner number 4. He flashes past the speed camera, the speed shot we have here. John Olson right behind him. As it turned out, usually when you're right behind the guy that's dropping the smoke, that's the worst place to be, but the smoke seemed to gather and get thicker with all the people behind him. So Olson actually was in the best place. How about it, Ralph? Can you determine what happened down there?
Well, we got John Wilson with us first, Larry. He went out just before Dean South's incident. John, what went wrong with your car?
Well, we just got out there ready to start the race, and the oil pressure dropped to 0. The light came on, so I had to shut her off and coast in.
Well, they've got the hood up on the car, Larry, and they're going to try and get this machine back into the race. So John Wilson is going to stay in the car. We're going to get over here and see if we can get a word with Dean, and as soon as we can, we'll come back down to us.
That is disappointing for John Wilson. He had engine problems yesterday in practice, and the Bob Seneca crew loaned him an oil pump for today's race.
Kent Stauffer, incidentally, who stopped during the pace lap, simply needed an adjustment on his rear view mirrors. No car problem. He's back out on the track. He did lose a lot of track space, and he is caught back around 25th position, but he's okay. He's up to full song.
It's difficult, I think, for our television viewers to really get a grasp on how steeply banked these turns are. At most of the ASA tracks that are this high banked, you see the cars running higher up on the banking. That would be considered the racing groove. Here, because it seems that both exiting turns 2 and 4, the track almost narrows. It's almost like a tunnel. The wall seems to come in from the outside on the drivers, and it means that they have to run a lower line exiting the turn.
All right, early laps here. Mike Eddy continues to lead. He's won 3 times this year. Gary St. Amant runs second. Right now, John Benson Jr. moves to the inside to challenge in that white and red trim, number 21, the Valvoline Chevrolet. There goes John Benson Jr., who led points earlier this season. In fourth place is Scott Hansen. Glenn Allen Jr., who needs a little bit of good luck, is fifth. Bob Seneca is sixth, talking about needing good luck. Tim Steele, he's one who needs that. He is seventh. Tony Raines is eighth. Jay Sauter is ninth, and Jeff Neal is 10th. Those are the top 10 cars, and they have a little bit of distance between themselves and the rest of the field.
Dean, you went out in pretty spectacular fashion. Did it give you any indication that it was going to let go?
No, it just broke, and that was it. I hit the clutch, and it was up in smoke. That was all there was. Nothing to tell me it was going to do anything. It just broke.
Well, Larry, the word from the crew just before we went on the air was that it broke a rod.
Okay, Ralph, thank you very much. And tough day for a couple of the drivers who enter all of the ASA races. This is a long ways to come, and we're not that far away from the geographic center of the U.S., and it's a long haul for the ASA cars, and to have your race last less than 5 laps, got to be disappointing.
My 5 years with ASA, Larry, I have discovered that these guys really are a fraternity among themselves. Dean South, the newcomer to ASA this season, has gotten an awful lot of help, in particular from the Glenn Allen Jr. team.
Up front, the competition is very spirited. We're live near Kansas City, Missouri, and Mike Eddy continues to set the pace, but remains to be seen whether or not Eddy is trying to maintain a conservative pace as we go inside of Bob Seneca, or is the rest of the field that strong?
See 5 cars right in front of Bob Seneca, and this is characteristic. This is just stereotypical Seneca racing. Hang with the leaders, keep in touch, stay out of trouble, and wait till the last half of the race for the big moves.
Johnny Benson Jr. runs second right now. Every once in a while you get a quick glimpse of him. Right there is the white car right in the center of your screen. He almost lost the handle about 5 laps ago. He dropped back from second to third, then got that position back, and now looks like he is ready to challenge Mike Eddy. There goes John Benson Jr. to the inside of Eddy, but Eddy holds him back, and Eddy once again gets about a half a car length advantage.
In practice laps yesterday morning, Mike Eddy was all day long the fastest among the drivers out on the racetrack. Most thought that he would capture the pole position. St. Amant's doing so was a bit of a surprise, and now it looks like that Eddy's just not able to make the distance between himself and the others like he enjoys doing. He's led more laps this season than any other driver on the racetrack.
John Benson Jr. is definitely the man trying to pitch the curve to race leader Mike Eddy. He's moving back and forth. He's running faster than Mike Eddy. He would like to get around. For fourth position, there goes Glenn Allen Jr. in the Delco Voyager battery number 66. They have had their share of misfortune so far this year. They were looking very forward to racing all day long, and look at Glenn Allen. It looks like suddenly he was shot out of a cannon. Here he comes.
Now from inside Bob Seneca's car, he's making a move around Scott Hansen. Hansen told me in the pits yesterday after qualifying he had a car that he thought he could drive flat out all day long, and it looks like if anybody's having some handling problems in the early going, it is Scott Hansen.
21 laps of 300 are complete. We now have actually 11 cars with the lead group. Dave Jackson, another of the many Cincinnati, Ohio area drivers running an ASA, has joined this elite contingent up front. They don't seem to be able to shake one another, and if anything else, seems to be attracting more people.
Glenn Allen Jr. at this race in Kansas City this weekend, a new car owner for him and a new sponsor. They also have a brand new engine program. These engines built in the Nick Vitt shops. Nick owns this racing team now. I was a little bit leery about his prospects for the weekend, but obviously it has not taken them any time at all to gel. That in and of itself is amazing.
Glenn Allen Jr. is certainly part of the future of the American Speed Association. Just a teenager, but he has about 5 years of experience. He is on the move. We'll update him when we come back.
Ever wonder what I do when I'm not racing?
In the American Speed Association competition at the I-70 Speedway, there's Johnny Benson Jr. diving to the inside of Mike Eddy, just not enough room.
Well, Benson sliding sideways. Remember, those two drivers battling for the lead. 30 on-rushing machines, full bore into turn number 3. You can see at the top of the screen, car number 5, Jeff Neal, is in bad shape, and I think that's Dave Jackson's number 45 involved as well. Neal on pit road.
We're in here, gentlemen, and they took a look at it. We'll see if we can get over to Harold Fair Jr. and the guys and find out what it is, the problems are with the car, and we'll get back to you in a second.
Some of the other cars involved in the incident, you're looking again at Jeff Neal's Buick, the Xerox Buick machine. It really wasn't a serious accident, but one of those frustrating kind that bent up a lot of equipment and may have taken a lot of people out of contention for this win. There is Glenn Allen Jr. just getting by. Seneca gets by, and it looked like Raines had cleared it, but he was caught up in heavy traffic and got squeezed into the car in front of him.
Well, what's that old expression? You shouldn't stick your nose where it doesn't belong, and I think Benson did that time.
Here's what it looked like to Bob Seneca. You can see Benson sliding. Glenn Allen Jr. takes evasive action. He swerves to the right. Seneca follows him. He shadows him. They get by, but there is not enough racetrack left for the field roaring up behind him.
Fortunately for Benson, he was the one driver that emerged from that completely unscathed. He did come on pit road and change tires.
After 28 of 300 laps officially, it's Mike Eddy, Gary St. Amant, Glenn Allen Jr. now moves up to third. Remember, he was running faster, I think, than anyone else on the racetrack before this yellow flag. Bob Seneca is fourth. Tim Steele was fifth officially. He crossed the line in fifth position, but he has stopped several times for emergency repairs, caught up in that accident. Again, Tony Raines also involved. Raines and Jeff Neal, both cars running competitively in the top 10, were the most seriously damaged. Dave Jackson had minor damage. Tim Steele, not as much visual damage as some of the other race cars. And the number 32 car of Steve Barnes, that is the one that came into contact with Tony Raines, or perhaps more correctly, call it the other way around.
Mike Eddy has led all 30 laps this afternoon. One of the other drivers who was involved in that incident was Dave Jackson. He's back on the racetrack in car number 45. A couple of weeks ago at Milwaukee, he was involved in an accident. At the time, we thought the wheel came off. Well, we'd like to extend our apologies to the guy that changes those tires. He didn't goof up. Something broke in the rear end of Dave's car. And it appears that he's back on the track and at Speedway again this afternoon.
Really changes the complexion of this race. We had, as we mentioned, 11 cars that were basically running like they were tied together, and now the field is pretty well scattered around after that incident. Ralph, you can give us another update on that wreck in turn number 3?
That's right, Larry. We got Harold Fair Jr. with us, crew chief for Jeff Neal. Harold, did he say anything to you about what caused the incident from his viewpoint?
Well, he seen a spin car come up, and he had it cleared, and we slowed down, so did everybody in front of us, but I believe somebody hit us from behind and knocked us into the car in front of us, and we ended up in Benson.
John Benson Jr. seemingly no damage. He's back about 25th position right now, being shadowed by Tim Steele, but they're a long ways from the leaders. The leaders continue to be that quartet right there now. Gary St. Amant, Mike Eddy runs in second. Glenn Allen Jr. is third, but challenging. And Bob Seneca, the old sly one, sneaker, is not really showing his normal race face today. He's challenging early.
Look at Glenn Allen Jr. going to the high side of Mike Eddy and appropriating second position. Eddy gives him plenty of room, and now Glenn Allen will challenge or chase Gary St. Amant. Those two young drivers from Ohio are really on the fly.
Well, Glenn Allen Jr. learned to drive at the Tri-County or Queen City Speedway, depending upon if you're a dirt or a pavement aficionado of racing. You'll know it by one of those two terms. The track is now paved, and it's reasonably similar to this, and I imagine Allen feels very much at home.
I think what helped Glenn Allen in his career probably more than anything is he had a fellow that more or less took him under his wing and spent a lot of time with him. One of the best ever short track drivers, Butch Miller, a great help to Glenn Allen Jr. My, has it made a difference in the last 2 years.
Bob Seneca at 100 miles an hour right now, back on the throttle, begin to accelerate. 110, 120, 130, 135, maybe 140. Get off the brake, save your life going into corner number 3, drop back down to about 110 miles an hour, negotiate a very tricky corner number 4, and then you have to do it all over again. You have to do that 600 times today.
We've got a brand new leader, Glenn Allen Jr. Look at the young man go in that green and white car number 66. And we may catch ourselves alluding to the wrong sponsor. A brand new arrangement this weekend, Delco Voyager batteries, and maybe whoever made that decision to put their decals on his car knew something we didn't.
St. Amant was slowing significantly the last couple laps. There's smoke on the racetrack. We do not see any cars sitting crosswise. There it is. It's in corner number 4. It's the number 77 car of Jerry Covert. One of 77 car, one of the local drivers. Jerry normally runs the weekly stock car activity here at the I-70 Speedway. He and his wife, incidentally, are heavily involved with the new Heartland Park racing facility in Topeka.
Jerry, one of only 2 drivers with V8 engines here this weekend. He was shocked yesterday at how quick the V6s were. He felt that he could come here as a local driver and teach these ASA boys a lesson. Obviously, that's not going to be the case.
Heavy competition, heavy traffic again through corners number 3 and 4. You're on the back straightaway right now, where Glenn Allen continues to lead here. Chasing now is Mike Eddy. The number 7 car of Gary St. Amant has moved back into 3rd position after mysteriously slowing down. Ralph, things are happening very quickly and hectic up here. How about down in the pits?
Oh, it's every bit as busy down here, Larry. We got Ernie Roselli with us, the crew chief and car owner for Tony Raines. Ernie, Bernie, your car didn't look that great when he brought it down here. How's it handling now that you've done some work on it?
We don't really have a problem with the car other than the body. Everything seems to be okay.
Okay, well, that's the story with Tony Raines. He might just have enough cars left to be a contender here this afternoon.
Well, you know how we told you things were happening so quickly in the race X. See, there's more of that heavy smoke to which we referred, and yeah, that's Mike Eddy. You're watching the action live. We've had yet another lead change. They're happening so quickly that every time we lead the action for the slightest little reason, you miss a lead change. Mike Eddy is back up front. There is the view Bob Seneker has. They go to the outside of David Stamm. As we mentioned, the traffic is very threatening here at I-70 today.
From his seventh
and a spin in corner number 2. Steve Barnes is involved. Jeff Neal is also involved. Mark Beinlich collides with the number 32 car of Steve Barnes, and we've had our second incident, and this one looks a lot more major than the first one caused by Johnny Benson's spin.
Steve Barnes just joined the ASA circuit about 4 races ago. It's awfully tough to come in as a rookie driver with no previous late model experience. That has been the case for Barnes with that microbrush hand cleaner entry. And what we've said about his car, he asked me if I liked the paint job. I said it's colorful. Well, it's going to have to be repainted big time between now and next weekend.
It's pink, and he looks very unhappy about something. There's pink on that car.
Would you say he's animated?
He is animated, but I will assure you that the words are all G-rated, because here's a guy who attended Bible college and studied radio and television, so they are reserved. Here's the incident.
Well, you can see he gets, it looks like a little assist from behind by John Olson. Jeff Neal, with no place to go, spins the car.
Beinlich.
And Mark Beinlich in car number 68, that Ford Thunderbird.
Tony Raines almost involved again. All that dust in the infield is from Tony. Tony and Jeff should have stayed in the pits when this one started.
Sure seems like it. It's not over yet for Raines, let me assure you, since he was when I picked him up today.
Okay, you're looking at Mark Beinlich, the number 68 car, driver from Lincolnshire, Illinois. Hard hit with the number 32 car of Steve Barnes. We'll be back.
Coming up on the all-new TNN Motorsports Magazine Afternoon Edition at 6:30 Eastern, we'll have the winner of today's ASA race live via satellite.
Cast or other transmission of this telecast without the written consent of Group 5 Sports is prohibited.
Mike Eddy continues to lead. You can see work continuing on the scene of the incident coming off turn number 2. Well, we tried to tell you that turn 4 was going to be where it would happen, and it has not been the case this afternoon. Turns 2 and turns 3 are the ones that have created the problems. And there, look at Beinlich just sliding sideways. No place to go. Hard into Steve Barnes. Steve was okay enough to get out and to be very unhappy with John Olson for that incident.
And there is Steve getting out. He said, hey, I didn't do that. I got help. Look at the left rear quarter panel of that car. I don't think it was involved in the hard crash when Beinlich got into Steve, so there may be the telltale evidence that Mr. Barnes would point to if this were a court of law.
Probably half of the field in today's 300-lap race are full-time racers. They make their living competing in ASA events. Barnes just scrapes nickels and dimes together to get this race car on the track, and I think that probably was as much of the frustration that he evidenced, saying, oh my gosh, I don't know if there's anything in the checkbook this week.
I think you're getting an indication of how treacherous a high-banked half-mile racetrack can be. If you are a race fan, you know of the reputation. It's legendary. The hills, places like Winchester, Salem, Mesa Marin out in California is beginning to grow in reputation like that also. Earlier this week, we talked to Mike Eddy about, do you have to be brave to race on high banks like this?
The nerves and courage come early in the race, and I guess, and the thing I-70 here is surviving till the last 100, 150 laps. That's when all the racing will begin, because by then slow cars and the other good cars that have problems will be out of the way, and then the racing will start.
Mike Eddy is currently ranked 3rd in the American Speed Association AC-Delco Challenge Series. He is 120 points. That's about 20 positions on the racetrack in finishing position behind Bob Seneker. There's Steve Barnes. Instead of opting for that lonely walk, he's taking the easy way out, riding back, but disappointing moment. Everybody goes to a lot of effort to make these races. Back to the Eddy situation. He has won 3 times of the 9 previous races, and in the last 4 races, he has 2 seconds and a 3rd.
Okay, I'm here. Steve, how you doing? You feeling all right?
Yeah, I'm feeling fine. I banged my foot up a little bit, but that's part of the game. We're okay. The car's done for the day. We were racing hard for position. I didn't qualify very well yesterday. We had a little bit of tire problem, but we fixed that, and we were running hard.
today we just wanted to stay out of trouble the first 100 laps or so, and somebody got a little anxious behind me and tagged me. They hit me on purpose. I know they did, because we got into a little bit on the front stretch, and he sent me around, and you see what's happened here. And unfortunately, there was another car, I'm not sure of his number, but he was caught up in the melee as well.
Well, let me ask you a question about this racetrack today. It seems like there's been a lot of activity as far as bumping and banging out here early. Is everybody driving a little over their heads, or is this just the treacherous I-70 Speedway showing its form?
I think it's the I-70 Speedway. This track is, actually, it's a very nice facility, truth be known. They did a nice job and they repaved it, and it's very fast. It's relatively forgiving, although you can't tell by looking at my car today. But I think it's just more of a situation of guys knowing that on a short track like this, if you get down, it's tough to make them up, and they're just trying to stay in the lead lap.
See, I told you his words would be carefully selected and controlled. That's Steve Barnes. His best finish this year at Calgary was a 10th.
Well, look at it one more time. You can see it is the car number 44 of John Olson. Now, Steve seemed to feel that it was intentional. You know, John Olson might have another perspective on it. John was one of the two drivers that we mentioned at the top of the show that banged the front stretch wall very hard yesterday afternoon. He pieced the machine together in time to get it race ready for our last chance qualifying race. And Olson's a pretty laid-back guy. I'm not convinced that that was intentional.
When the green flag flutters this time around, and it will, we are now completing lap number 54. We're back to green flag racing in Mike Eddy. The double-digit 88 is up front. The double-digit 66 of Glenn Allen Jr. is second. And the old reliable one, Bob Seneca, out of Dorr, Michigan. He's lived in Dorr, it seems like, a couple hundred years from super modified days back in the 60s. And he's been a terrific late model driver for really working on his third decade now.
One of the leaders, save those involved in the early race incidents, have been on pit road at this juncture. Expect 2 pit stops, more than likely, for the ultimate winner of this race.
Side-by-side racing up front. Bob Seneca goes to the high side. Seneca, yeah, we told you he's normally quiet the first half of the race. Bob Seneca is looking for the runner-up position. He's got it.
Bob moves into second position as Mike Eddy is pulled away just slightly from the previous second-place runner, the 66 machine of Glenn Allen Jr. And Gary St. Amand, who mysteriously had fallen back. The crew says nothing wrong with the race car. He's back into the hunt and back up into the 5th position.
Mark Beinlich was the other driver that Steve Barnes referred to. Ralph's got him right now.
Well, Mark didn't have as much luck as Steve Barnes. You're not feeling too good.
I banged my right elbow. I wanted to come out of the 2 there. The car was sideways. I hit the brakes. I didn't know where to go, and I hit up the broadside and took a pretty good shot. But I'm okay. The car's really messed up, but always another day and another race.
Just the way a true racer looks at it, Larry.
All right, Ralph, recap quickly of the top runners. It's Eddy. Seneca is second. Glenn Allen Jr. is third. Gary St. Amand, our pole center, is fourth. Out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, Scott Hansen is fifth. And Jay Sauter is sixth. Those 6 cars have distanced themselves from the rest of the field. In 7th is Bruce Vanderlaan. 8th is Tim Fedewa. 9th unofficially is Dennis Vogel. And in 10th is Dennis Lampman. Position 7th on back, unofficial.
Probably most of you joining us for the telecast today know these 2 names, Eddy and Seneca, and know them well from their short track exploits. If you don't, over the last couple of seasons, there's been a bit of bad on-track blood between these 2 drivers. A number of incidents in 1990. Things seem to have settled down. Mike Eddy's been a real gentleman on the racetrack this season, and he and Bob have even clowned around with each other a little bit. But right now, it is all serious business for the 2 winningest ASA drivers, say Butch Miller.
We're going back into 15th position on back to 20th. Now, there is Tim Steele. You see some smoke coming up underneath that car. Tim Steele has a serious problem. Flames coming out from underneath. The black flag comes out from Tim Steele. So the number 85 car, the Texana Grill HS Dyed Engineering Chevrolet, as we mentioned near the top of the show, they really need to have Lady Luck smile on them. It's not going to happen. Seneca challenges Mike Eddy, meanwhile. He has turned back. The yellow flag comes out. The number 40 car of Bruce Vanderlaan
and Larry, there's a wheel bouncing down the back straightaway of the racetrack.
From
One of the machines has lost a wheel.
It's from Bruce Vanderlaan. He was running a very competitive 8th position. He was leading a large pack of cars. He suddenly began to slow. He obviously sensed that something was wrong. Right now, Ralph is down with Tim Steele.
A very frustrated Tim Steele, Larry. He's pounding the steering wheel. The crew is looking under the left rear as Bruce Vanderlaan limps his machine in as well. They butt the fire out. There was a bit of flame coming out of the backside of the number 85 Texana grill machine, as you saw. They have put that out. They're raising the car up in the air, and they're going to take a look and see if they can get Tim Steele back in the race. A real frustration for these guys, because if you remember, Larry, they were forced to change 2 engines between 5 guys in under 90 minutes just to qualify 7th yesterday.
And Ralph, they're beginning to push the HS Dye Texana Bar and Grill car behind the pit wall. They may affect repairs and get back out, but his chances for winning today are gone. We'll be back.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common.
Ready to go back green again. Today's live flag-to-flag ASA Festival of Speed is the Western Auto 300. That traditionally American company is headquartered nearby, and right now all eyes are on the racetrack at I-70. We have a side-by-side battle for the first position, and Glenn Allen lurks right behind.
Bob Seneker, slight advantage, coming off turn number 4, takes the lead from Mike Eddy for the first time this afternoon.
And here comes Scott Hansen. He was running very conservatively in the early laps. Often when people would get a sight of him, he would simply slow down. But Scott Hansen has decided, hey, now is the time. Here comes Scott Hansen. He runs 4th. Running in 3rd is Glenn Allen Jr. You're looking out the back window of the race leader, Bob Seneker.
Over the tail panel of Seneker's car number 84. Look at Mike Eddy. He's going to try the high side. That's where Seneker took the lead. Here comes Eddy right back to challenge.
On a high bank racetrack, there should be at least 2 grooves, and we're seeing all of them and then some from the American Speed Association this afternoon.
You can see in that frame 6 cars. Now just at the top, you can see a yellow machine beginning to come into play. That's the Ford of rookie driver Tim Fido. He is all the way up to 7th position and closing on this lead pack.
And there is the tussle for 3rd position. Looking to the outside with Scott Hansen. We go back up front. Seneker has managed to put himself in the front of Mike Eddy, but here comes Eddy. He wants to race again. Now back to the race for 3rd position. That too is side by side. There's Gary St. Amant, the red number 7. He's had on the pole.
4 cars right together. We're back on the lead again. It's Seneker continuing to hang on. Just a slight gap between them. Now Eddy drops down. They nearly touch. Mike gives him some breathing room.
Action on the high banks of the Odessa Speedway. There is Bob Seneker, the view he would have if he could turn and look sideways and see that nationwide Pontiac of Mike Eddy, who is glued to the right side.
Well, after Calgary, Bob Seneker said he was going to get smaller mirrors so he couldn't see those young guys coming after him. He's not worried about mirrors at all right now. He's only worried about arch rival Mike Eddy.
We remind you the temperature is about 95 degrees. Track temperatures are probably in the vicinity of 140. And these ASA drivers are sliding around some of the lightest weight late model stock cars. Yellow flag in all of motor racing. And they are doing an excellent job up front. We had that one incident earlier, yellow flag again we mentioned, when Johnny Benson was trying to get to the inside of Mike Eddy, but since that time, people up front have done a pretty solid job. There is the debris. It looks to be yellow that could have come off of Tim Fido's car. Meanwhile, Ralph has another Tim Steele.
Tim, what was it that caused the fire under the car?
The Texana Grill HS Dye Chevrolet, I think a broken oil line. The guys are trying to fix it right now. Hopefully we can get back in the race. Won't be where we had planned on running. Hopefully we'll be able to get back out there.
So Tim Steele's crew working feverishly on this car, Larry. We also checked with Bruce Vanderlaan's entry, the number 40 machine that lost the tire. 2 broken wheel studs caused that wheel to come off the number 40.
Well, the race leader, Bob Seneker, has suddenly, and I might add, unexpectedly darted into the pits. They go to the right side, go to work on both the front and rear tires. The ASA flagman is signaling the field to form up behind the safety car. I do not believe they are planning on going green the next time around, but Seneker is giving up track position. Tony Raines has also pitted, and Tim Fido, whom we believe that debris came off of, but no confirmation on that yet.
Seems to be nothing untoward going on in the Bob Seneker pit in car number 84. It's uncharacteristic for one of the leaders to come in by himself. I'm sure there's a bit of strategy play going on, and Mike Eddy's got to be wondering, what does Seneker have up his sleeve right now?
Well, we have completed 77 of the scheduled 300 race laps, 78 this time by. And Rob, when would you have expected these people to pit?
We're having a lot of yellow flags today. I think we can expect a lot more. I would have guessed that the first leaders' pit stops would come maybe around the 120 to 130 lap mark. They could really go, Larry, about 200 laps on a tank of fuel, but this track is abrasive and very tough on tires. Must not be causing any wear.
Bob Seneca's crew chief, Dave Taylor, perhaps can bring us up to date as to why that sudden stop. Here's Ralph.
A little earlier than we thought we'd see him. Why the strategy?
Well, we're betting a little early. They paved the track last year, and we're going to look at tire wear and try and get the stagger just right there. We've got a little push right now. Right now, the Lane Automotive Ford City Racing Chevrolet Lumina is running like where we wanted to.
Well, you had a chance to look at the tire. How did it look, okay?
Tire wear looks real good. We've got about 75 laps. We had a few long cautions there, but the tire wear looks good. We're glad we pitted. We corrected the stagger. We should be back up to the front here in a few laps.
Rob, I suspect that you are as aware of ASA strategy, literally, and I don't mean to be over-complimentary, but as anyone in the country, there's a battle for first place. That's Scott Hansen, but when I expound a little bit on this pit stop, what do you think about that strategy? Nobody else followed men, good or bad?
Well, we saw when Dave Taylor last season was Johnny Benson's crew chief that they tended on occasion to go counter to what everybody else did. Sometimes it worked to their advantage, sometimes it cost them, and we've got a brand new leader. Scott Hansen has taken over the lead. There are no fewer than 10 cars now running right together on the racetrack. You can see almost all of them at one time. The number 9 machine of Dennis Lampman, who really had trouble in practice yesterday, an ill-handling machine, has come all the way from 27th position. There he is, from 27th, Larry, to 6th.
Yeah, he's moved up to 6th position. He started this race actually as an alternate. He even dropped out of that consolation non-qualifiers race. He didn't even look competitive at all, even with that group. And suddenly, it's a bad corner. He loses a couple positions. Harold Fair sneaks underneath. There's Joe Scheer. He's had a pretty good race himself. He started in 21st position, having won the non-qualifiers race yesterday. But Lampman has shown us a lot repeatedly all season long.
Yes, he has. He has not qualified well anywhere. He's raced well just about every place. Dennis was an occasional visitor to ASA races prior to the 1991 season, coming full-time this year, and he and his crew getting acclimated to the long-distance races.
Scott Hansen leads this race. He has one win in the 1991 season. There he is. It's a precarious lead, but he's there. His only other win was on the Salem High Banks, and yesterday, in talking with in the pits, he said, you know what? My car feels a lot like Salem. The other competitors are saying, thanks a lot, Scott. If your car feels like Salem, we have a tall order for the rest of us all day long.
One incredible statistic relating to this Baker Motorsports team is the fact that they have completed every single lap of competition in the 9 previous races this season.
That means never having been lapped. If he was lapped at any point in the race, got the lap back. And Rob, I don't remember him being lapped at any time this season.
I don't think he has been. He came close to going a lap down at Calgary. You weren't there. Hung on to his lead lap position, and he's really now got his hands full once again with Mike Eddy.
This live competition today, I am sitting here shaking my head. These drivers are running like it is the last 10 laps of the race. Eddy turns back Hansen. Suddenly Hansen loses ground. Glenn Allen Jr. starts to show more speed. There's Gary St. Amant in the red car number 7, who sat on the pole again. He is kicking up his heels one more time. The hot potato seems to be passing from team to team to team. And another yellow flag. And again, I see no race. Oh, we have 2 cars sitting sideways in corner number 3. It's Jeff Neal again.
For the 3rd time this afternoon, Jeff Neal involved in an incident. This time, the Albright Chevrolet of Tim Porter is involved. And you can see Jeff trying to back his machine away from the scene of the incident. There you can see Tim Porter making his first ever ASA start here this weekend and finding the sledding plenty rough.
Oh, Jeff Neal and that Xerox Buick has got to be wondering what's going on today. He's not had bad luck. He's had just ridiculous luck. You wouldn't even want to call it fortunes, because this is a race he would just as soon forget. The 3rd time, as Rob mentioned, that he's been involved in an incident. His best finish of the year is a 5th place. Now, he's done that twice, but his first 5th place was in the opening race of the season at the Columbus Motor Speedway. Now, all the leaders want to pit, and Jeff Neal, if you look at the very top left-hand side of your screen, is come to a stop at the very entrance to the pits. There does seem to be just enough room for everybody to get by. There's Mike Eddy coming to a stop in the Nationwide Pontiac, and Ralph Shaheen is right there.
Mike Eddy has brought the car to a stop. The crew has gone around to the right side. They're putting on tires on that side of the car. Full fuel load going into the car. Scott Hansen is pitting as well. Bob Seneca comes back into the pits. He'll go to work on his car. Eddy only takes on tires on the right side. Hansen had a little trouble getting out of the pit and will do so now. Seneca now will get tires on the left side of his car as well. So he will have new tires all the way around the car, whereas everybody else will have him on just the right side.
So the first 2 leaders, Glenn Allen and Gary St. Amant, choose not to come in.
That's all I know, and really all I care about at this point.
Don't tell Ralph Shaheen that.
Glenn Allen Jr., Gary St. Amant running first and second down the back straightaway as the field files through the backstretch. And as we mentioned earlier, Glenn Allen, a brand new car owner, Nick Vitt, for this weekend with his own in-house engine program, with brand new sponsors, which you've got to be thrilled with this early race performance.
Side by side again for the lead. This time it's Gary St. Amant who seems to have the advantage. In the red number 7, moving to the high side, it's Chevrolet versus Chevrolet, and St. Amant's going to lead this lap.
Gary St. Amant was a question mark this morning. He was asking if there was a driver that could stand by for him, apparently suffering some flu symptoms, but he's not feeling any pain right now. Kenny Adams, you can see in that maroon car number 86, he had an engine problem yesterday, and the Glen Allen folks helped him set the chassis up on that race car. He is the second car that is owned by the same folks, Nick Vitt's operation. He's driving the Auto Site Pontiac this weekend, and what a difference it has made for Adams having the support of somebody that could help him.
Now, all three of these cars chose not to pit during the last caution, whereas many of the other race leaders, like Seneca and Eddie, did come in. Talking about Glenn Allen Jr., yes, he's running second race. He's one of only 4 drivers who has won a race this year. But despite those facts, he is only ranked 17th in the point standing. Gives you an idea how much misfortune they have had, despite the fact that they have been a top 5 cars whenever everything was hitting on all cylinders.
Pole sitter Gary St. Amant continuing to set the pace. Glenn Allen Jr. is in pursuit in car number 66 by winning the first race of the season. He was first in the points. As you said, he's dropped all the way to 17th, and it's been a rash of engine problems.
So it is St. Amant, that's Adams. He's running in third. There is the interval between first, second place. Glenn Allen Jr., third place. Kenny Adams in the car number 86, painted a maroon color. In fourth place right now is Terry Baldry. In fifth is Tim Pidua. All those cars choosing not to pit. In sixth is Tom Harrington. Dave Jackson is seventh. Mike Eddy has moved to 8th. Scott Hansen 9th. Jay Sauter is 10th. And Bob Seneca runs in 11th position.
Jeff Neal had some insightful comments just a couple of minutes ago. The first third of this race, 1/3 of those laps have been run under caution. 32 caution laps, 6 caution flags the first 100.
Well, things seem to have calmed down finally, although first place is definitely up for grabs. We're about at the 1/3 point of this race. And here we'll give you an opportunity to look for your favorite driver. The bright yellow is Tim Fedua. There goes Eddie by. There's John Benson Jr., Dennis Lampman, who's running up front. That damaged, modified-looking car, that's Tony Raines. Dennis Vogel in the bright orange and red painted number 51 flashes past. Dave Stamm, and here come the leaders again, and this time it's Glenn Allen Jr. We say this time because the way things have been going today, you can't rely on anything. Just because somebody's leading at the midpoint of the dog-legged backstretch, and we might talk a little bit about that, doesn't mean he's going to be leading at the front stretch.
We've already had 9 lead changes among 5 drivers. Glenn Allen Jr. taking the point for the first time this afternoon in car number 66. And look at him, Larry, pulling away from Gary St. Amant. That's amazing.
Well, they were very confident, but then again, so was Scott Hansen. So was Tony Raines. Of course, so was Bob Seneca. Speaking about Scott Hansen and Bob Seneca, they're in that group, along with Mike Eddy. Who else? In the black and yellow painted Pontiac number 88 car. Jay Sauter, one of our camera cars for today, in that black, white and purple number 1 Chevrolet, the KC Racing Enterprises Special. He also runs competitively in the top 10. And pit stops will be coming up for those who chose not to pit. Rob, any feeling as to when they'll probably come in?
As I said, Larry, I think those that have not been in, we'll certainly expect to see them the next caution flag. We will expect the leaders at about the 200 lap mark, as again, we're riding with Bob Seneca.
Gary St. Amant in the A1 Auto Service Sutphen Chevrolet has come back to Bob Seneca. Seneca has gone to the high side, and St. Amant is definitely slowing. He's no longer in this picture. You're riding with Bob Seneca. There are Eddie, Hansen, Sauter, and Seneca, and Gary St. Amant has slowed perceptibly. I think our pole setter may well be in trouble.
He has some significant problems as he's very, very slow going through turn number 2. Stays out on the racetrack, and that's probably an indication of maybe a tire problem on car number 7. As once Glenn Allen took the lead from St. Amant, he just dropped completely out of sight.
There is Mike Eddy. He has been the pace setter for most of this season. in ASA competition. He has led the most laps, 597 laps this season. Second best leader has been Bob Seneker, close behind, 574. And third is Scott Hansen. That man right there, Glenn Allen Jr., has only led 3 times this season, and it's been about 2 months since he last led.
And there's the A1 Auto Service Set from Fire Engines Chevrolet of Gary St. Amant well off the pace. Even Dennis Vogel is putting him behind him. Gary, I'm sure right now has his fingers crossed and is praying for a yellow flag. He needs a pit stop badly, as Glenn Allen Jr. is now within a straightaway of putting Gary a lap down.
It's a bit unusual, particularly this early in the race, for one of the top cars to tolerate going that slow. Now, as you point out, St. Amant obviously is hoping for a yellow, but you feel like it must be a tire or a suspension problem, because if it was an engine problem, he would probably pull in right away and try to get to that problem.
He stays out on the racetrack. I think he will try to stay out just as long as he can. If Glenn Allen puts him a lap down, he'll immediately come on pit road.
Okay, Bud St. Amant is the crew chief for Gary St. Amant. Bud, where's the problem?
Well, we think we got a right side tire going down. We think maybe it's the right rear instead.
Okay, well, he's going to come in now, gentlemen, in another lap or so, and they're going to try and change that tire and get him back out.
Oh, another very devastating moment. Of course, every car in a motor race, it's competitive, and you push these machines and men to their limit. Not everybody can finish the race, but you look at people like Neal and Raines and St. Amant and Allen and all the misfortune they have had this year. You just wish that one race, all those guys who've had all the bad luck would have good luck together.
This is unequivocally one of those situations when you pick up the newspaper the day after the race and you read it, you say, gee, what happened to Gary St. Amant? He didn't do well at all. Well, that has not been an indication as to how well he has run today and throughout the season. He's now 9th in the point standings, but he's going to backpedal in a hurry.
125 laps are now in the record books, and Glenn Allen Jr. at this point is making a shambles of the field. Glenn Allen Jr. is the ace in this deck of shuffled race cars, some of which have pitted and some of which have not. But right now, the number 66, the green and white race car, sporting the brand new colors of Delco Voyager battery. I'm sure that's not the appropriate colors because that sponsorship came together this morning, but they have to be very happy about their selection at the last minute.
Well, they do. I'm sure that whole team right now just has their fingers crossed. All year long, like Gary St. Amant, Glenn Allen Jr. has been one of the fastest drivers on the racetrack, only to suffer, it seems like, mechanical difficulty after mechanical difficulty.
There are 4 seconds separating the leading Glenn Allen and second running Kenny Adams. And an interesting phenomenon, Adams and Baldry, Fedowa and Jackson, those 4 cars are running 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Seldom run up front, but they have been able to stave off the challenges of that fast group moving up of Eddie, Hansen, Sauter, and Seneker. They've been able to get around them, and we've had about 15 consecutive green flag laps.
And there is that car you were just talking about, Kenny Adams, as he's leading that group with 4 automobiles, running in 3rd through 6th position. Kenny is a rookie. Terry Baldry is a rookie. Right behind them is Tim Fedowa. And those are the 3 top rookie contenders.
The freshmen are really putting it on the veterans, at least at this stage of this race.
They sure are. And Tim Fedowa, will point out once again, is without question the fleetest of the Fords in the field here this afternoon. An engine built by Earl Gertie. If you're an open-wheel racing fan, that name is very familiar to you. It's a kind of an experimental project for him to build stock car racing engines. He sure got it figured out, if today is an indication.
Yeah, Ford is beginning to put some more effort into their V6 and their stock car programs, stock cars away from Winston Cup. They're obviously having a terrific season in Winston Cup racing, and some more attention is being directed to short track and the other major divisions of racing in America. And I am told that this program may be as together now as it has been all year, and now they're going to begin to work on some of the finer points and make it go faster. The reliability problem they feel has been licked.
Again, Adams, Baldry, Fedowa. I was talking with Tim yesterday. He spun and almost hit the wall yesterday where 2 other drivers had done it before him. And Tim was telling me, I said, how did you keep it off the wall? He said, well, I was reading my fiance Terry's Cosmopolitan magazine, and there was an article written by some gal who'd gone to Skip Barber driving school. She said, if you're sliding and spinning at the same time, take your foot off the brake, put it on the clutch. And that's what he did, and it worked. So Cosmopolitan School of Racing for Tim Fedowa.
Well, Ralph has hot-footed it down to the St. Amant pit, and Ralph, you can bring us up to date on Gary.
This was the problem for Gary St. Amant, gentlemen. You can see these are spring-loaded lug nuts. If you take a look at the tire here, these springs here are locked into this lug nut with a clip-on form. They came off, the lug nuts came off of the springs, so he was stuck just running around like this. Amazingly, this is only the second time they've tried these, as opposed to the normal soldered-on kind. So they put one of these back onto the car. We'll see if it works a little better this time.
Gary is right now, Larry, running right behind Glenn Allen Jr. You can see him, but he's 4 laps down.
Gary lost 4 laps. He had been lapped just before he came into the pit area. When he came out, I had the feeling that he allowed Glenn to get by unmolested. He was measuring Glenn to see how fast Glenn was compared to Gary's recently repaired car. Once he established that, didn't hold up his good friend and Team Cuz member, he said, okay, now I'm going to try and get some of my laps back.
Glenn is indeed fast. The race pace at the moment about a second slower than qualifying times of yesterday. St. Amant's average for the pole 115 miles an hour. So when you were talking about 135 miles an hour enthusiastically, that was no exaggeration on these straightaways. The battle for the 7th position on the racetrack. All of these drivers have made pit stops and are now working their way toward the front. From the roof cam of Jay Sauter's car number 1, closing in on Scott Hansen, and you can see right in front of them is that whole group of rookies that we've been talking about.
Talking about the treacherousness of a high bank racetrack, Jay Sauter, the driver you're riding with right now, had one of the worst looking wrecks of the 1990 season in ASA. Maybe it was the single worst looking accident. A track like this at Winchester, Indiana, going into corner number 3. The car was totally dismantled and destroyed.
He also had one of the worst looking accidents ever in ASA 1 weekend ago. It was a freak pit road incident. He got squeezed to the outside, ran into the guardrail, and it literally penetrated the cockpit of the race car. Fortunately for Jay, and obviously he is okay.
Well, Ralph is standing by with a story that relates to all of this. Ralph?
Well, Jay Sauter's got a celebrity crew chief with him here this afternoon. This is Paul Kaufman, a former NFL star, tight end for the Minnesota Vikings, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Green Bay Packers. What do you think of ASA racing?
Tell you what, they're getting after it out there. When I first came down here, I thought maybe I'd like to take a few laps. Now I think I'll leave driving up to the drivers.
Well, Tom Harrington's another former NFL star with the New Orleans Saints. You think you might join him? Are we going to see some more NFL stars behind the wheel?
Well, I don't know. I saw where Walter Payton's getting into it a little bit. Again, I think this is out of my league.
Well, he's not going to have any trouble getting tires if Jay Sauter needs them. This guy can heave a few over the wall, no problem.
Yeah, I think every race team could use a couple of tight ends on the pit crew for sure. Back inside with Bob Seneker. Bob Seneker running competitively well inside the top 10, pacing himself at this point. He knows there's going to be at least one more yellow flag, and he's in no hurry to get to the lead.
Bob Seneker running with Jay Sauter. Those two duked it out for the checkered flag at Calgary. It was Seneker winning that race. Sauter, that was the strongest performance in his brief ASA racing career, trying to follow on the heels of a very successful father, Jim Sauter. And look at them battling. And up front, Gary St. Amant has pulled back around Glenn Allen Jr. and picked up one of the laps that he lost on pit road. He's now 3 circuits off the pace.
You're looking at the best driver of the world's most technically advanced stock cars running here at the I-70 Speedway today. These cars are an interesting blend of open-wheelers and full-bodied race cars. They are technologically light years away from many other divisions running in America today.
Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials?
Kenny Adams, Terry Baldry, Tim Fedewa, and Dave Jackson. Those 4 cars have done an excellent job holding off Mike Eddy, Jay Sauter, Bob Seneker, and Scott Hansen. They'll be closer to the front before the day is over. And good old steady Dennis Lampman is up there. But Glenn Allen Jr. leads this race, Ralph. But if he doesn't get a yellow soon, is he in trouble?
He certainly is, Larry. This is Glenn Allen Sr., the team manager. Glenn, how far can you go on the top amount of fuel you got right now?
We can probably go 20 more laps. If we don't get a caution in 20 laps, the crew chief, John Boskin, told me if we don't get a caution, we're going to have to bring the car in for a splash of fuel. Then we'll wait for a yellow. We need tires. Everybody's had right tires, left tires. We haven't taken on any tires, but the car is really working good. And our new owner, Amy Vitt's homesick, and I'd like to say hello to her, okay?
Well, how's Glenn doing from inside the car? What's he saying about the racetrack itself?
He said the racetrack's perfect, the car's perfect, and it's running real good. And we got the new owner, like I told you, and both our cars are running 1-2. The 86 car is owned by the same person, and we're 1-2. And both cars, I've been communicating with both of them, and both cars are working real good.
Well, I think the thing to point out here, guys, is they've had this problem before this year and had some serious trouble with it.
Well, Ralph, you are right. Shades of Canada in the month of June. Glenn Allen Jr. led the race at Cayuga with less than 10 laps to go and ran out of flag. And here's the yellow
flag. Boy, the gods are smiling on Glenn Allen. He moves over. He allows his unofficial teammate, Gary St. Amant, to get back one of those laps. Glenn Allen Jr. brakes hard for the safety car. He doesn't want to get in trouble. He says, I'm leading this race. I have a good race car. There's no way they're going to penalize me. He gave one of the laps back to St. Amant. He figures St. Amant will not be a challenger for the race win today. Here's what happened to Jay Sauter about a lap ago.
Jay was trying to take the fifth position rather, from Dave Jackson. And look at this, in turn number 3, sideways, stays on the throttle. Had he gotten out of the throttle, I think that's experience. He'd have been in the wall in a heartbeat.
And here come the people who need some refreshment into the pit lane. Here is what it looked like from Jay Sauter's car as he lost that handle in corner number 4. You can see it pointing to the inside, then to the outside, and Ralph, he made it.
Oh boy, did he ever need this, Larry. Glenn Allen Jr.'s brought the car in. They're putting in both tanks of fuel. Right side tires are on the car. Remember, he hasn't had new tires at all, whereas a lot of the other competitors have had at least one side put on fresh. So he's got fresh right side tires and a full tank load of fuel, and Glenn Allen Jr. couldn't have asked for anything better than that.
Second running, Kenny Adams also has brought his Poncho, his Pontiac, into pit road. Nick Bitt is going to be very happy with the selection of going with the number 66 car as the other car in his racing stable. They had a terrific afternoon up to this point. And Rob, another interesting point here is that because people like Adams ran so well in Jackson for about a 50-lap period there, Glenn Allen Jr. is not losing that much track position to Eddie and Seneca and Sauter because these guys kept them back.
They did, and that was a surprise, I think, to all of us. If you've just joined us live from I-70 Speedway this afternoon, we've just passed the halfway point. At this juncture, we've had 10 lead changes. 5 different drivers have set the pace. We've had 6 periods of caution, an extremely high number for a total of 33 laps just prior to this caution period. And we have 11 cars either out of the race or currently behind the wall.
The Menon Skid Racer Aftershave mid-race report. The leader is Glenn Allen. The average speed to this point has been slowed by numerous caution flags down below 80 miles per hour. There you see those lead changes that Rob was talking about. We've had 6 cautions. We had up to the 150-lap point, and 11 cars either out of the race or behind the wall. But it has been a day fraught with frenzy, crashing, spinning, and activity, and it's times too difficult to keep up with.
Glenn Allen Jr., car number 66, having a great afternoon, and everything seems to be going his way, not just on the racetrack, but on pit road as he got a great stop. He's well now back in the field, and obviously somebody has dumped a significant amount of oil on the racetrack. And it could create for some treachery on the restart once we go back to green. I think you'll see the pace car probably the next time by leading those machines down through that. And Terry Baldry has a passenger out on the racetrack in car number 14. Look at that. He's got the fuel can with him. That's in a hurry trying to get out of the pit.
So a very dangerous situation. You see the fuel spilling as he traverses this racetrack. Fortunately, under a very controlled caution flag, ASA officials pointing the way in the pits say, Terry, you really need to make another stop, and there are some other repairs that you need to effect here.
Probably got his signals crossed from the crewman responsible to send him back out on the racetrack. It wasn't as if there was a real frenzy to get him back out there to remain under caution. But all of a sudden now this rookie driver who was in 3rd position, Larry, now must work his way up from the very tail end of the field.
Gentlemen, some other folks we needed to say hello to real quick here this afternoon. Our good friends back at the Sandwich Construction Company in Charlotte, North Carolina. One of the best places to grab a bit of food if you're a racing fan of the ASA. We wanted to say hello to Chris and Sam and Dave and everybody back there at the Sandwich Construction Company. And we've had to suffer through some track food back here, guys, but you can be sure that Monday afternoon we'll be in the Sandwich and you can get a chicken speedy ready for me. I'll be going for one of those.
Oh, I hope the Roberts family were not listening to that one, Ralph. We need to compliment the Roberts family, the people who put on this race here at this facility. It's actually a race that's co-sponsored by a number of entities involved. Of course, AC-Delco along with the ASA. But the Roberts family does an excellent job of promoting the I-70 Speedway. There are at least 10 of them involved, and they all do fine work. Ready to go Go Green. You know the popular song of the 60s said, I might take a bus, I might take a train, but Kansas City, here I come. Today we're taking you on board with Speeding American Speed Association stock cars. And a new face moves to the front, moves to the high side in the Ford-powered number 55. That is rookie sensation Tim Feedable. But here comes Jay Sauter looking to the inside. Sauter has no room in the maneuver. That time down the front straightaway. Fedewa trying to hold on. He does lead a lap officially, but Sauter is challenging him. That's something we haven't seen for a long time. Now, I called you the encyclopedia of ASA at the top of the show. All right, Smarty. When was the last time a Ford led?
Okay, here we go. Fedewa's Ford 55. It was Forbes in 1990 at Jennerstown.
Okay, Todd Forbes, who entered this race, but unfortunately was one of the first cars out, and Tim Fedewa continues to set the pace. He has turned back the thwarts of the number 1 car of Jay Sauter, and Sauter is going to have to start looking to the high side. Sauter looks in his rearview mirror. He sees Bob Seneker, Mike Eddy, Gary St. Amant, laps down, Scott Hansen, and Glenn Allen Jr. And here's the view that Bob Seneker sees.
Certainly in 4th position, sits right on the back bumper of Mike Eddy's car number 88. The front-running pair, Neri and ASA Victory, between them almost 100 between the two drivers in 3rd and 4th.
And it's really a shame that St. Amant lost all those laps, because obviously that is a car that is a winning race car, and things just have fallen his way. He is 2 laps down. His buddy, Glenn Allen Jr., allowed him to make a lap back just at the conclusion of the last green flag segment. Gary moves over, says, thank you, Glenn. He says, you go to racing. I know you're in contention for the win. St. Amant's going to follow them all around and hope that he has an opportunity to get yet another lap back.
Eddy and Seneca still side by side, now about 3 car lengths behind Jay Sauter's car number 1, and it does appear, Larry, that Sauter may have just a bit more at the moment than does Fedewa, but not enough to attempt to make the pass. Maybe he's remembering that near spin in turn 3 while trying to use the high side.
Well, it looks like a USC football play. It's student body left. Get it? Left turn, as up front we have 7 cars, 8 cars clustered going after the number 1 position, with the exception of St. Amant. Now we'll check on the situation with Tony Raines. How many laps down Tony Raines is? Tony Raines is on the lead lap. Incredible story.
Well, Tony running an amazing race this afternoon. He's been strong all season long. We compared him at Milwaukee to a young Bob Seneker. He is quiet. He is so mature behind the wheel of a race car. You never see him make mistakes.
Look at this. Eddy is slowing. Sorry to interrupt you, but Mike Eddy loses 3 positions on the back straightaway. Raines went underneath him, Glenn Allen Jr. and Scott Hansen, and now St. Amant's going to the inside of Mike Eddy. Mike Eddy has slowed down.
Keep an eye on that Nationwide Pontiac. Car number 88 of Mike Eddy is the lapped car of Gary St. Amant. Also makes his way past on the low side of the racetrack. And again, I think it may be a tire situation for Mike Eddy.
Mike Eddy has won 3 times in the previous 9 races, as has Bob Seneker. Senekers have been the last 3 in a row. Can Bob Seneker become the most successful stock car driver in a major division in the 1991 season?
A little battle shaping up for the lead now between the veteran and the kid. Bob Seneker, the season 1, going for his 4th consecutive ASA win, trying to tie a Butch Miller record established quite a while ago in a 70th career ASA victory, and he's got that point.
Boy, but the people in Dearborn, Michigan have to be happy. It's been a while since a Ford has run up front and run very competitively with all the top dogs in the American Speed Association.
Well, we had almost reached the midpoint of the season before Fedewa debuted that Ford. He ran earlier this year with a Chevrolet. Some thought it might be a mistake, but he's proven it right.
Up to this point, Kent Stauffer really had the best performance in a Ford. That was at our first televised race at Nashville, but I think Fedewa may have done one better today.
Timmy's running extremely well here this afternoon. Now look at Seneker. He's separating himself slightly. He's pulled out to about a 6 car length advantage over Fedewa and Sauter, and now Glenn Allen Jr. are dicing for that 3rd position. Look right behind them. It is Tony Raines sans that right front fender. And as I started to say, when we noticed Mike Eddy falling back, Raines, he's been in a couple of incidents over the last few races, but not of his own doing. He's a tremendous young racing talent.
Fedewa in that yellow car. There is Jay Sauter looking out the right side. There it is from your viewpoint on the inside of this racetrack. Glenn Allen Jr. Sauter on the inside, Glenn Allen Jr. on the outside. That yellow car that Fedewa drives, that is the DNR Racing Enterprises Ford. They also have an entry driven by Ted Musgrave on the Winston Cup circuit, the DeWitt family. Of course, their Winston Cup car sponsored by Jasper Engines, who has become involved with this team in a big way. But look at that spirited joust for second place.
Yeah, we heard how Ted is doing this afternoon. A former strong competitor on the ASA circuit, has won several ASA events in his career, and he was with us at Milwaukee, and I understand will be back with us for a last live televised race this season from Minnesota.
Well, we had begun to document the trials and tribulations, if you will. Oh, a couple of guys come together there in the front straightaway, no harm, no foul, of Mike Eddy, who was running with this pack. He suddenly began to slow. Now, Eddy has continued out on the track. You see Johnny Benson Jr. has gotten around there. He's Terry Baldry moving up. Ralph, any idea what might be going on with Mike?
We sure do, Larry. It was a right rear tire that is giving Mike Eddy the problem. They believe it is going down. The crew is ready, but Mike has decided to stay out on the racetrack as long as he possibly can and hope for a yellow flag situation that'll allow him to get that thing changed a little bit easier.
Mike Bulldog Eddy, and if there's anybody who can wrestle a wounded race car around any racetrack in America, it would be Mike Eddy. He would be the best at that. I would hold him up against anybody.
Well, Eddy's established a reputation of being a tough guy. Finished second to Bob Seneca last week, and he said he got kicked in the seat of the pants by his car owner wife, Patsy, because he didn't win.
Rob, I'll tell you what, Glenn Allen Jr., I'm convinced he has the best car here today.
He has really surprised and impressed. Look at him closing in on Bob Seneca. Once Seneca took the lead away from Tim Fedewa, he moved easily away from Tim, but since car number 66, Glenn Allen, has been able to accomplish the same thing, he has just reeled in Seneca, and in a hurry.
We mentioned that Glenn is just a youngster many times. He's really just a teenager yet, 19 years of age, but he really has quite an arm's length list of accomplishments in stock car racing. He's done very well. He's been active for almost 5 years now. I mentioned earlier, he's 17th in points. He has that one win. He's led the 5th largest number of laps in the entire league so far this year, 247 times. He sat on the pole twice, so that gives you an idea of what kind of speed they've had.
Look at his performance this season. It's just a litany of mechanical malfunctions through the season. And look at Tony Raines continuing to run very, very strongly with that at least apparently disabled car number 25. That is an indication, Larry, that aerodynamics are not at all important at I-70.
Do you think Rex Robbins, ASA, and everyone at AC-Delco would mind it if they had a car in victory lane minus a hood?
I don't know. And
if it were Tony, I don't think so. I think everybody would be so happy.
Tony is driving one of only 2 Oldsmobiles in the field. His best career as ASA finish, as you can see right there, is a second. And he'd like to improve that one spot here this afternoon. And who picked him before this race started?
Geez, I just can't remember. The other Oldsmobile, by the way, is Tom Harrington. Ralph, what do you think? Was that a good pick on behalf of Rob?
Well, Rob's going to take it if he gets lucky. If somebody else would, you know, he would have said he was really figuring on him anyway.
Yeah.
But we did have an opportunity to talk to Ernie Roselli, Tony Raines' crew chief, just a second ago, and he said Tony is doing just fine inside the car. He's just riding around right now. And I asked him about that missing body work. He said it's all cosmetic. There was nothing done to the suspension, and Tony is just playing a waiting game right now. He feels great behind the wheel, and it is not infecting him at all the way he gets around this high bank I-70 Speedway.
That would be a fascinating visual story of Tony Raines, whom Rob Albright picked. Incidentally, I picked Scott Hansen.
And he's right behind Raines.
Yeah, that's true. And Ralph went with Gary St. Amant, and right now that's not looking real strong. But Ralph, he did lead a lot of this race. Back up front, however, it is Bob Seneca, whom no one picked, although he has won the last 3 races in a row, and Glenn Allen Jr., whom no one picked. Probably no one in the house other than Glenn Allen Jr. and Glenn Allen Sr. would have picked them, but he looks very strong.
I don't know if our race fans really understand the gravity of what has gone on for Glenn Allen Jr. in this last week. He was informed by his car owner that maybe things were just not working out, and they made a mutual decision to have a parting of the ways. Somebody has stepped into the breach, if you will, that being Nick Vitt. Brand new car owner and team situation and a brand new power plant.
Well, Mike Eddy could wait no longer. Mike Eddy makes that agonizing left turn under green flag conditions to get a changed right rear tire. While in there, they decided to change the left rear. The leaders go by. Mike Eddy loses a lap. and the man who won 3 consecutive races a little earlier this season is in jeopardy of doing well here this afternoon. The car drops back on the ground. Mike puts his lead foot on that right throttle pedal, tries to get back up into the banking to get up to speed. The leaders cross the start-finish line to complete yet another lap, and Mike was able to get out, but he lost 1 lap, not 2, and the lead goes side by side again, and here comes Glenn Allen Jr.
Well, he's showing some patience and restraint, as we said a bit earlier. These two drivers went at each other at Cayuga Speedway. And literally just a couple of years ago, Gary, Bob Seneca would have been scared to death to run next to Glenn Allen Jr. But as he has matured and gained experience and listened and learned, wow, he's now right up in front and giving Bob all he wants.
Bob Seneca has a 43-point lead over Scott Hansen, who is ranked 2nd in points right now. 69 times in his career, Seneca has won a main event more than any other ASA driver. He knows high banks very, very well. We ask him, how do you pass on a high bank track?
I don't think there's any real tricks, but it's easier to pass on a bank track. It seems like there's more room up in the corners. And a lot of times on a high bank track, the fast groove seems to get higher and higher, and it's easier to run up there.
Incidentally, Mike Eddy has lost 2 laps. He was lapped once on the track, and that was probably what predicated his decision to come in for the pits, for the change of right rear tire. Mike Eddy 2 laps down, and we're almost 2/3 of the way. We are 2/3 of the way in. 205 laps complete.
And I'm not sure how many cars remain on the lead lap, Larry, as we continue to focus on that front-running twosome, but I believe there are probably as many as 10 or 12 automobiles still with what you'd have to consider a tremendous and legitimate shot at victory this afternoon.
Well, Ralph has gone down to the Mike Eddy Nationwide pit, and he can show us the reason for the stop.
Well, when we talk about tire woes, it doesn't get much worse than this, guys. Take a look at this. This is called a blistered tire in the worst way. This streak of torn off rubber goes all the way around the tire. It should all look like this side, not like that side. Right rear tire for Mike Eddy.
You can see Mike Eddy frustratingly back out on the track, digging, trying to make up ground. Up front, running comfortably like he so often does, is Bob Seneca. There's a surprise in the back bumper. It's Glenn Allen Jr.
This week, Nashville Now.
Kansas City, Missouri is the home of the Royals and the Chiefs, and Harry S. Truman, of course. And it's also very solid stock car country. We're live from that area today. This is the I-70 Speedway near Odessa, Missouri. These are the high banks, and you're looking at first running Bob Seneca and second running Glenn Allen Jr. The states of Michigan and Ohio represented there. A little city called Dorr, Michigan for Bob Seneca, where he has always hailed from, and Cincinnati, Ohio for the former high school All-City, and I guess I'm going to mention All-State athlete Glenn Allen.
He was a tremendous young athlete in high school, and he told us after being extricated with help from his first ASA stock car race, it's the toughest sport of all for him.
This area, by the way, is also Larry Phillips. We want to make mention of that. We talked earlier about having seen him run a race Friday night. Larry Phillips is doing very well in the Winston Racing Series and could well be very high ranked in the national standings at the end of the season. He is the main man here in the Kansas, Missouri area.
Well, I-70 Speedway is one of the fastest half-mile racetracks in the country, and that is a result of the banking, over 28 degrees, and you get a little bit of a taste for that as you ride atop the roof of Jay Sauter's car number 1. You can see, we talked earlier about how it all closes in on you from the outside. You can see how Sauter just slid right up to it as he exited the corner.
Yeah, the skies are blue, but that picture is a little more blue. Do not attempt to adjust your set. This is an in-car camera, and in the early laps of this race, we lost the red gun, we believe, if there is such a thing. We're losing our red color on the in-car camera, but the pictures are still clear and crisp, and boy, it's worth getting a view of what it's like to drive a speeding late model stock car on a high bank racetrack. You also got an idea of the dog leg. There is a slight dog leg in the middle of the backstretch, but it's so slight it really is not a factor at all in the racing.
Well, the backstretch is banked, so that kind of negates the bend in the backstretch. Now look at the leaders. They've closed in again on Mike Eddy's car number 88. We're being told by scoring he's 2 laps off the pace as a result of a green flag pit stop.
Here is a rundown of the top 10 cars that are all on the lead lap. It is Seneca and Allen. We have documented many times. Jay Sauter in the KC Enterprises Chevrolet runs second. Tony Raines in car number 25, despite those incidents, has the ETR Racing Oldsmobile in fourth. Running third is Scott Hansen, APCO make that fifth is Scott Hansen in the AFCO Budweiser Penske Shocks Chevrolet. Hansen having a solid day again. Johnny Benson Jr. in the Valvoline Chevrolet is in 6th position. 7th is Dave Jackson. The car is number 45. He is from the Cincinnati, Ohio area. That is the Red Bank Trout Dairy Chevrolet. In 8th position is Dennis Lampman. Another solid performance. The Ford of Tim Vidoa has slipped back to 9th position. And Terry Baldry, who I believe may have been credited with leading a lap today, is now in 10th position.
It was important for him to lead a lap as well, as he and Fiedel were really battling for that Rookie of the Year title.
All right, Glenn Allen Jr. is having a great race. We've told you his luck has been poor so far this season. He's been as fast as anybody. But we ask him, is the team panicking because of all this misfortune?
No, there's not panic. I don't think all year long we'd have finished out of the top 5 where we've been racing, so it's not that. We just know we have to have the motor to finish the races and to make progress. That's all we have to do.
Well, they've made some progress today.
They sure have. It does appear to me that he is as faster than Seneca, but Bob has been known to taunt his challengers. He's been known to run just hard enough to let a guy think he can get by. And I can assure you, young Glenn Allen right now thinks he can get by for the lead, and traffic may work to his advantage, although Seneca is the master at running in the heat of battle like this traffic situation they're approaching right now.
Bob Seneca now holding on to what appears to be a precarious lead, but you make the call at home. Do you think that Seneca is controlling the pace of this race, or is Glenn Allen Jr.? One would think, this is just a guess, a wild guess, that if Seneca were controlling the intervals, I believe he would move out to about 10 or 15 car lengths and then park.
That may be the case. It was funny, we heard a story at Cayuga where they ran in reverse order for much of the race with Glenn Allen leading. As Bob Seneca closed on him, Glenn was overheard to say to his crew chief, his father, Glenn Allen Sr., I know he's there, I'm going to let him get close, and then I'm really going to run hard.
Well, you're watching the American Speed Association live on the Nashville Network. We are near Kansas City, Missouri. This is the I-70 High Bank Odessa, Missouri Speedway. Some other racing action in the world of motor racing this weekend. And down in Alabama, the ARCA race was won by Charlie Glotzbach. Nigel Mansell picked up another Formula One win this morning over in Hockenheim, Germany. Sammy Swindell, one of the World of Outlaw sprint car winners this weekend. Last night in Indianapolis, Indiana, young Jim Keeker won for the first time in his career in a USAC sprint car race, and the Busch Grand National race was won by Chuck Baum.
Again, we'll take a look at the field as they go by the start-finish line, heading down the main straightaway. There was Scott Hansen, the 5th place car. Mark Meilich back on the racetrack, so was Tim Porter, that orange car number 80. We haven't seen either one of them for quite some time. So we don't say out of the race, we say behind the wall. These guys can work miracles sometimes getting them back. There's Dave Jackson, and he is the last car on the lead lap, I think, in 8th position as they've just gotten by Terry Baldry.
Yeah, Terry Baldry finally drops a lap down as Seneca and Allen continue to make circles. And it remains to be seen whether or not they can hold off the rest of this 30-car starting field. They've had the smoothest day, I guess, of anybody here at Odessa today. He has a mirror full of young Glenn Allen Jr. We mentioned earlier that the temperature before the start of the race was a, I say cool or clement, 94, 95 degrees. Well, you know that near drought that most of the country has been experiencing for about 2 months now? Guess what? Last temperature check here, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. That's in the sky. Now, Gary St. Amant, we are told, may be suffering from fatigue. Now, Ralph, can you update us on that story?
We sure can, Larry. If you take a look over my shoulder, you can see Tim Steele is getting ready to jump in the car for Gary St. Amant. They've even got a pillow ready for him just in case he doesn't fit in the seat. While we wait for that, there's something else that we want to tell you about, and that is Glenn Allen Jr. and Bob Seneca and what their theory is on pit stops from now to the end of the race. Glenn Allen Sr. told us that they are going to try and go all the way.
Ralph,
they're a little worried about their...
Ralph, let me interrupt you. St. Amant has come to a stop on the outside of corner number 3. What can you hear from the rest of the crew there?
Well, we're down here right now. We'll see if we can get over here to Bud St. Amant and get a word from him. Bud, what did he tell you on the radio? Is he all right?
He's not feeling very good. He got sick. Going to get out for a little bit here and let them take over.
Okay, so you heard the word from Bud St. Amant, Gary's dad and crew chief. Gary not feeling good in the car. He's going to limp the car around. Timmy Steele will get in, and they will make a driver's change here momentarily.
Ralph, I think I might have interrupted you on your story there about the strategy between Allen and Seneca. Now, this yellow could change that, but what do you know and what do you think?
Well, what they were going to try and do was go all the way to the finish on the amount of fuel and tires that they got. Both teams are going to take a gamble on the fuel. They really were more concerned about tires than fuel. In fact, Bob Seneca's crew were going to be completing 225 laps on the right side tires if they had gone all the way to the checker. Now it's going to be a question of, does somebody decide to dive into the pit lane?
Here they come.
Seneca's crew is ready, Allen's crew is ready, and we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, this passed by. Bob Seneca, Mike Eddy, 2 laps down. Scott Hansen racing for the lead. He comes in. Glenn Allen stays out. Tony Raines, he pits. He's a top 5 car. This is going to be very interesting, particularly if Glenn Allen chooses to stay out. Seneca's coming out with new tires. Could be an advantage.
It certainly could. Let's see who's quickest getting out. Gary St. Amant is rolling into his pit. I think he's out now. He apparently could not get into his pit stop. One of the unsung heroes is a guy named Greg Stucker. Greg is the chief engineer now for Goodyear Tire and Rubber. He's really one of the guys responsible for the tremendous wear these guys are getting this afternoon.
Well, Ralph is down in the St. Amant pits. It was just too crowded down there, I guess, Ralph.
Yeah, it really was. Mike Eddy pits right next door to him, and Gary just couldn't fit in here between him and Bob Seneca. As you mentioned, Bob did come in, take on new tires on the right side and a full fuel load, and Glenn Allen stayed out on the racetrack. He is right behind the pace car. The crew is now waiting again for Gary St. Amant to come down pit lane, and he is making his way down here now.
Ralph, I can tell you, watching St. Amant go around the track, he did not look very stable at all. I think we have an extremely fatigued race driver. You reported before this race began that he was ill, and he was swerving on the racetrack. He almost missed the entrance to the pits coming in, trying to steer around Dave Stomp. There you can see Gary St. Amant staggering out of that race car, crawling over the pit wall, and Gary is not going to be, I don't think, very vocal here for a couple of minutes. Tim Steele strapping into the A1 Auto Services Chevrolet, bright red number 7 of Bud St. Amant. Bud St. Amant, who has fielded race cars for quite a number of years. Those of you who have followed ASA for the past 2.5 decades remember the bright purple and white number 7 that Don Gregory drove. There's Tim Steele. You can see relief driver for Gary St. Amant. Team Cuz helps each other out. Gregory was one of the first stars of ASA, won their biggest race of the year one year, the 400-lap race in Winchester. Don, of course, has stepped out of the saddle, but a very able replacement in Gary St. Amant.
There were some folks as recently as 2 years ago that felt maybe Gary didn't have the killer instinct. He was too nice a guy, but boy, he's put his doubters to rest over the last couple of seasons with a pair of wins in 1990.
All right, Glenn Allen has chosen not to pit. Bob Seneca, who looked like he was the other driver who had enough guts in his race car to pass and win this race, has chosen to pit. 248 laps of 300 are now complete. We'll soon find out whether or not it was a good idea that Allen chose not to come in, or Seneca took the time to take on the tires. He's 4th position already.
Seneca had a tremendous pit stop headed by this Dave Taylor crew. Got him back on the racetrack, and now he has nothing but daylight between himself and the 2nd place car of Jay Sauter, who also, like Glenn Allen, elected to stay on the racetrack during that caution.
Wait a minute, something developing. Ralph, you have an update for us on Bob Seneca.
Well, he got all the fuel and tires he needs, but Dave Taylor, the crew chief, now you're telling me you don't have all the power you need?
Oh, we think we broke some inner springs on the valve springs on the Port City Chevrolet Lumina, and we're just coming to pit for right sides and give it all we can. I think we can beat the guys on tires. We have about 60 laps to go, and Bob's just going to drive the wheels off of it, but we're hurting a little bit on power right now.
With that kind of a problem in the engine, is it something that can get worse as the race progresses, or can he nurse it home and maybe even get the win?
There's a possibility he can bring it home for the win, or there's a possibility he can drop a valve and destroy the motor, but we come here to win, so we're going to give it to the end.
Well, gentlemen, if he blows this engine up, we'll know which way it went in a hurry.
So Bob Seneca rides a steed that is a lit powder keg. Within 50 or make that 60 laps of the end of this race, Seneca is closing in on Glenn Allen Jr. It's the tires that are making the difference. Before the last yellow, we were down to 7 cars in the lead lap. It was Seneca, Allen, the number 1 car of Jay Sauter was 3rd. Tony Raines was 4th. Sauter, incidentally, is still runner-up. In 5th place was Scott Hansen. 6th was Dennis Lampman, but he has had problems since that. And the last car on the lead lap was Johnny Benson Jr., that white Valvoline Chevrolet that was the catalyst of the very first yellow flag, which seems like it was only about a half hour ago. Things have happened so quickly today.
Well, maybe a trade-off. Just a few laps ago, 1.8 seconds, the difference between Allen and Seneca. Look at that. It has shrunk to 0.8 of a second. So a good trade-off, apparently, in Seneca's favor with those fresh tires.
Well, Ralph, you got a tough job here. You're finally, you were able to revive Gary St. Amant, Ralph. Go to it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Larry Newber, I just walked over to say hello to him and make sure he was doing okay. I wasn't going to even make him get on the microphone, but he wanted to talk. You want to say something to your fans?
Yeah, Ralph, I just want to say, you know, I'm okay. Last night I started coming down with the flu, and I was a little weak before the race started, but the adrenaline got pumping, and you know, I was ready to race today, but we got a couple laps down. I started getting tired. My neck started giving out, so I thought the best thing to do is get out of the car. So.
Well, I'll tell you what, gentlemen, Gary St. Amant was my pick earlier today, and I still think it was a good one. He's going to get one of these wins sooner or later. A true tough competitor.
It has tightened up considerably up front. The leading trio is now together. It's Glenn Allen Jr. from Ohio, Jay Sauter from Necedah, Wisconsin, and Bob Seneca from Michigan. They are now nose to tail. We have about 50 laps remaining in today's contest. Glenn Allen Jr. has been the man of the hour for the last hour, but here comes Bob Seneca.
Look at Jay Sauter sideways in turn number 3 over this course of the first 250 laps of this race. 14 lead changes, and we just may about to be seeing another one shortly. Look at Glenn Allen now. He's eased away slightly from Jay Sauter, and Seneca likes the high side.
A big moment in this race now will be how much will Jay Sauter tax the new tires on Bob Seneca's car. Seneca disposes of him relatively easily. That might have won the race for Seneca because he didn't use his tires up, getting past Sauter. If he can pass Glenn Allen Jr. just as easily, despite having a motor not running full song, he might win again.
Well, I kind of wonder whether or not that engine is running full song. That machine is just flat flying. Look at him as he closes in on Glenn Allen's car number 66, and it may be a matter of will for Bob Seneca. Only one other driver in ASA history has won 4 successive races. The last to do it was Butch Miller back in 1987. On 3 different occasions, Seneca has won 3 in a row.
Glenn Allen Jr. really has his work cut out for him now. If he can challenge Seneca, make him work very hard to get by, he might cause Bob Seneca to use up some of his new rubber. If he could just get Seneca to abuse his tires, he can get back on even terms with him. Right now, it's not a horsepower race, it's a rubber race.
Well, and as Bob gets a few laps on those tires, that tremendous advantage that he's now enjoying will go away. I would assume that in 15 or 20 laps, they'll be pretty much back on equal footing in terms of the rubber.
He may have gone too high. He goes around the lap car, the number 80 machine of Tim Porter.
It really helped.
And it helped. He almost went too high. He's been able to hold back a swifter running Bob Seneca for about 3 laps. If he can just hold on for about 10, I think Seneca's going to slow down.
Absolutely. Glenn Allen continuing to hold on to that lead. And although Seneca has been there, he really hasn't put any serious pressure on Glenn Allen. I think he's waiting for Glenn to make the move. Both of them realize there's still a long way to go.
If you were Bob Seneca, those of you at home, where would you try to make your move? Would you try to blow by Glenn Allen on the outside? Or maybe just tap him on the back bumper, worry the youngster, make the teenager sweat a little bit. But with the years and of experience, even though he's just 19 years of age that Allen has, that might be tough to do. Allen tries to squeeze Seneca along the outside wall. Seneca now has a little bit of advantage. The key is in the lock, coming out of corner number 4. Can Allen swing back up and close the door? Seneca has that left front fender up there. He holds on. Allen is low in corner number 2. He moves up. He tries to squeeze Bob against the wall. I don't think he did it.
Visions of Waltrip and Seneca at Nashville earlier this season. Glenn Allen fighting valiantly to hang on to that lead, and so far he's been able to do it.
And you're watching it live on the National Network. Seneca looks like he has the advantage. Has Glenn Allen challenged him enough? Will that car of Bob Seneca slow down if he gets by Glenn? It's only a matter of seconds now before he'll take the lead. Officially, he has it. He takes it on this lap, and Bob Seneca moves into the lead on lap number 268 this time around.
Seneca now begins to ease away from Glenn Allen Jr. About 3 car lengths the advantage for car number 84. Lapped traffic in front of him, Tom Harrington, and the former Gary St. Amant machine now being driven by Tim Steele. That's who Seneca will contend with very shortly.
Bob Seneca has returned to a very familiar posture. Certainly it's been his home. in July of 1991, first place. He came into today's race having won the last 3 races in a row. Could today be number 4? He has won 69 times in his ASA career, and he's beginning to put distance on Glenn Allen, but we still have 30 laps to go. Can the youngster do it? Group 5 Sports continues to bring you live ASA action all season long, like today. Next on TNN from Jennerstown, Pennsylvania in August, and culminating in the Minnesota State Fair on Labor Day, September the 2nd. So be sure to tune in to our next 2 live broadcasts of the American Speed Association. There is race leader Bob Seneker.
Continuing to lead, and since we went to break, he has stretched it out slightly over Glenn Allen Jr. It has grown to about 1/3 of a straightaway. That's the same margin enjoyed by Allen over the 3rd place car number 1 of Jay Sauter. Then it's a full straightaway back to car number 53, Scott Hansen.
Well, and some related racing news of this week as we watch Bob Seneker, things have calmed down up front. I want to inform you that there were representatives of Coors here in the Kansas City area this weekend, and there are a lot of rumors about their future in stock car racing, and we are told as we look at the interval between 1st and 2nd, it has grown to 1.2 seconds, that Coors will be staying in Winston Cup racing and also staying in drag racing. Now, it is not necessarily with the Harry Milling, Bill Elliott team. I said not necessarily, as that interval remains at 1.2 seconds. But it's a big question around racing circles, and we thought we would inform you that we heard direct from factory people this weekend that Coors is staying in the sport. And they will also be involved, we understand, with the American Speed Association shortly.
That's good news. Should Glenn Allen remain in this position, I think, Larry, that this would be an even bigger story than Seneker winning a record-tying 4th consecutive victory. When you consider the adversity that this team has faced all season long, and to associate with a new car owner, a new engine, and Delco Voyager batteries coming on board for just this race, everybody has to be thrilled with this ride.
Bob Seneker this time is controlling the intervals. Remember earlier when we said, hey, if he is, he's probably 10, 12 car lengths ahead, and that's where he'll park. Well, it's been 1.2, 1.3 seconds the last 3 laps, and Seneker is about 10, 15 car lengths ahead, and now I'm convinced this time. And incidentally, the all-time record in the American Speed Association for most consecutive wins is 4. It was set in 1987 by Butch Miller, who won in Michigan, Ohio, Wisconsin, and at Cayuga in Ontario. Bob Seneker 3 times has won 3 in a row. This would be the first time in his career, should he hold off these last 30 laps here, that Bob Seneker has won 4 consecutive ASA races. We
understand, despite the rash of early race caution periods, that Bob Seneker is on record pace for the event this afternoon. To remind race fans, it's been since 1988 that ASA competed here.
Well, did Glenn Allen's junior and senior make a mistake by not pitting when they saw Bob Seneker dart into the pits a few laps ago? Ralph, what do you think?
Well, we got Glenn Allen Sr. with us. Let's ask him. Glenn, if you had to do it all over again, would you have pitted when Seneker pit?
Yeah, if I had it to do all over, if I could be quarterback right now, I would have pitted. But we took a shot, and we think we're going to be 2nd, and that's good. We need a good finish, and 2nd's okay. If we get beat by Bob Seneker, he's the champion, so it's no big deal.
Well, now let's say, for instance, we get another caution flag real soon. Would you take a gamble and try and do what he did to you?
No, not now. There's only about 17 laps left. No, we're done for today. We're going to try to take 2nd. You know, something happened to us before, and we lost a race on the last 5 laps, so something maybe could happen to Seneker, and we can still win it.
You've had a lot of troubles with this team over the last few races. This has got to make it feel pretty good, even finishing 2nd.
Yes, our team's still pumped up. We finished, had motor problems, but we got that all behind us now, and everything's okay, and we're running well, and we just need a good finish. Like I say, we'll take 2nd. You'll think we won it.
Only 100 points separate the 13th through 20th positions, and Glenn Allen Jr. is right in the middle of all that. He'd love to get back up into the top 10 in points because, without question, they have been a top 10, even a top 5 car in the category of speed all year long. Frankly speaking, that is where he racing belongs.
This time past the start-finish line, Bob Seneca will have less than 10 laps to go. It's really exciting for me to see Glenn Allen Jr. and Sr. working well together as father and son. Some folks can't do that. My dad and I had a chance to do that for the first time a year ago, and I'm 38, he's 67, and that was a neat experience. I really can relate to these two.
There is Glenn Allen Jr. in the Delco Voyager battery sponsored car for today's race. Bob Seneca in his Lane Automotive Chevrolet continues to set the pace. We are down to 6 cars on the lead laps with 292 laps complete. So 8 laps to go, and today's AC-Delco Challenge Series will be history, and Bob Seneca will have made history by tying the longest and greatest win streak in the American Speed Association history, winning for the 4th time, and will been done live on the Nashville Network.
On 2 previous occasions, Seneca has won 3 successive races, the last time in 1984, and the first time he accomplished that way back in 1975. And ironically, that year it was on 3 very similar racetracks, once at Salem Speedway in southern Indiana and twice at Winchester.
Now down to 5 laps to go suddenly. The winners of this season, Seneca, you mentioned, has won 3 times. Mike Eddy has also won 3 times, and single wins have been Glenn Allen Jr., Scott Hansen, and Darrell Waltrip in that exciting televised race from the Nashville half mile, and almost actually Nashville 5/8 mile racetrack. Seneca is in heavy traffic, but Glenn Allen Jr. is significantly in arrears. He is back by about 2 seconds now. I'll make it 3 seconds, 3.3 hundredths of a second to be exact on the handheld stopwatch. Oh, 1.6 seconds. I was reading someone's date. Rather than the
It's been a long afternoon.
1.6 seconds, yeah, or maybe that's time of day, whatever. You know, you go to so many races, who knows if you're in the Western time zone or the Eastern time zone or wherever. But at any rate, Bob Seneca has this race under control. But now we get to that point, one of the reasons why I like motor racing. No matter how far you are ahead, as Seneca is looking for the white flag, he gets it. It is definitely never over until that final corner. There is no sport in all the world where there is so much drama associated with someone, even with a lead, as dominant as Bob Seneca. Seneca's off the pace. He allows Bruce Vanderlaan to kind of move up on him. Here comes Bob Seneca. He can post home from here, and Bob Seneca has done it. He has tied for the greatest win streak in the American Speed Association history. He wins for the 4th time in a row. He has a perfect month of July. He batted 1,000.
The 70th career victory for Bob Seneca coming at I-70 Speedway here this afternoon, nearly double his nearest rival Butch Miller, who's captured 36 ASA checkered flags.
The margin of victory stretched to 2 seconds. Unofficially, the 2nd place car is Glenn Allen Jr., and of course we'll check all this for you. Jay Sauter, terrific run for the Necedah, Wisconsin driver, is 3rd. Scott Hansen was 4th, and Tony Raines coming home in 5th position.